Two priests died at the same time and met St. Peter at the pearly gates. And St. Peter said, I'd like to give you guys, I'd like to let you guys in right now, but our computer's down. Been down for a while. So you're gonna have to go back to Earth for a week. But you can't go back as priests. So what else would you like to be reincarnated as? The first priest says, you know, there's something I've always wanted to be, but I feel really silly about this. So St. Peter says, look, the computer's down. There's no way we can keep track of what's going on down there. Nobody will ever know. So the first priest says, well, I've always wanted to be an eagle, soaring high above the Rocky Mountains. So be it. So St. Peter snaps his finger, guy disappears, off he flies. Then St. Peter turns to the second priest and says, what about you? And the second priest says to St. Peter, nobody will ever know about this, right? And St. Peter says, look, I told you, the computer's down. There's no way we can keep track of what you're doing down there. Second priest says, look, it's not that I haven't been happy being a priest all these years, but I always felt that I was missing out on something. You see, I've always wanted to be a real stud. Done, says St. Peter. Snaps his fingers, second priest disappears. Well, about a week goes by, the computer gets fixed, and God visits the computer room, talking to St. Peter, and asking about recalling the two priests. And he asks St. Peter, the St. Peter says, well, the first one should be easy. He's somewhere over the Rockies, just flying with the eagles. But the second one, that might be a bit difficult. So the Lord says to him, why? St. Peter looks at him and says, well, you remember him? He wanted to be a real stud. He's in a snow tire somewhere in North Dakota. You know what that old saying is? Be careful what you wish for, you might get it. Well, as Mary said, I am Dr. Kaloski, and I will be a guide today for what I hope will be an incredible odyssey of adventure and enlightenment. I'm going to ask you to hold your questions until I ask for them at the end of the seminar, because you might well find that your questions will be answered during the course of today's meeting. That being said, I'm going to ask you a question. Has anyone out there ever undergone a past life regression? Okay, we have a fair number of people who have. Was this a private one-on-one regression? Okay. Has anyone been privy to a group regression like we're going to do today? Okay, you've had that. Yeah, I think Mary said you have had people do that. What happens to us when we die? Now, I'm sure you've asked yourself that question. If you haven't, you're probably the only one out of, as Carl Sagan used to say, billions and billions of people who have inhabited this planet who haven't wondered about what goes on when it's all over. Of course, when it's all over, is it really all over? Or does something of us live on in some way conscious, a self-aware presence? And if we do have a self-aware presence, where do we go? What do we do? What becomes of us? Do we go to heaven and hang out playing a harp? Or do we go to that horrible hot place and play lead guitar in a heavy metal rock band? And do we get another shot at this thing called life? Worthy questions indeed. The concept of reincarnation seems to offer one of the most attractive explanations of man's origin and destiny. There's an increasing interest in the topic today, sustained usually, especially by books, magazines, TV, broadcasts, movies, conferences. Even Hollywood has gotten into the act. Now, many of you, of course, know about Shirley MacLaine's avid interest in reincarnation, so much so that she's written 2 books on the subject. And then there is the compelling story of the late actor and famous Hollywood leading man Glenn Ford. Under hypnosis, Ford recalled 5 previous lives, one in particular as a French cavalryman under Louis XIV. But the astonishing part was that although Ford said he only knew a few basic phrases in French, under hypnosis he spoke French with ease while describing that life. And when recordings of his regression were sent to the UCLA language labs, they discovered that not only was Ford speaking fluent French, he was in fact speaking the Parisian dialect from the 17th century. Several years ago, television icon Oprah Winfrey devoted 2 shows to the subject. Katie Couric, remember her? She featured it on her TV show, in which she interviewed a hard-boiled former Indianapolis homicide detective by the name of Robert Snow. Snow told the story of how on a dare, he was at a party, and on a dare, he underwent a past life regression, in which he described living in New York City in the 1800s as a portrait artist by the name of J. Carroll Beckwith. Now, after the regression, the skeptical Snow set out to disprove the purported validity of past life experience. He investigated it because he was a former detective, homicide detective. He investigated as if it were an actual police case. Instead, he found 28 separate details that matched what he experienced during the regression. So once relegated to the worlds of spiritualism, mysticism, occult phenomena, reincarnation is now a hot mainstream topic. Not only do adherents of Eastern religions or New Age spirituality currently accept it, but also so do many who don't share such esoteric interests and convictions. Reincarnation distinguishes itself from other spiritual, mystical, and esoteric subjects because of its rapidly expanding amount of empirical evidence. Evidence supplied by people who are doing work at the University of Virginia. Ian Stevenson, the late Ian Stevenson, collected over 2,500 catalog cases of reincarnation where he actually investigated these. His work was taken over by Bob Tucker, who carried on Ian Stevenson's work. Then we have one of the ladies from 1970s. Her name is Helen Wambach, noted psychologist from up in the Bay Area. She did seminars like this. And she hypnotized over, I think it was about 2,000 people. And she asked them questions while under hypnosis. And it had an amazing, amazing accuracy rate from that. And she looked at details, solid details, things that these people would have no way of knowing. Let me give you an example. How often do you think about a fork, a regular old fork? Well, throughout history, I didn't know this, throughout history, the common fork has had a progression. It was 2 tines, then it was 3 tines, now it's 4 tines. Who would know that? How many people would know that? But that was one of the questions she used to ask, and strange as it may be, because she wanted to have something subjective, something objective that could be researched. And with amazing accuracy, the people were able to tell the things like, oh yeah, this is whatever, 1702, and there were 2 tines on the fork or 3 tines on the fork. No way they should have known that. Maybe 1 or 2 out of thousands would have known that. So her work, I consider her work seminal in the field. She took a logical, rational, and analytical view on this. And some would argue, I'm one of them, that it's no more illogical to assume that reincarnation is a fact than it is to assume that each of us is limited to 1 birth and 1 death. So sit back, relax, and get ready for the ride of a lifetime. A voyage into the depths of your soul's memory, where the echoes of past existences whisper secrets of lives once lived. And by the way, enjoy the journey and let's have some fun along the way. Most people are surprised to learn, and you may be too, that there is more than 1 type of past life regression. Actually, there are 4 of them. Let's take a look at them. First, there's the Joe Friday session. I'm kidding, that's not really a name, Joe Friday. I made that up. I made that up. Well, you folks remember who Joe Friday was, right? The TV show Dragnet. And what was Sergeant Joe Friday's famous catchphrase? What did he tell the people? Just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. So that's what I jokingly call this my Joe Friday session. It's because what we're looking at here is just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. Actually, it is more than that. It is a well-balanced session. But many people seek out a past life regression just out of simple curiosity. They want to know things like, who was I? Where was I? When was I? What did I do? How did I live? What did I eat? How did I travel? Did I travel by horse, plane, automobile? When did I die? How did I die? This is the best type of regression for gathering information that is potentially historically verifiable in terms of authenticity and veracity. On the other hand, some people want to know, become aware of the intricate associations between a particular past life and the one they're current in, the present life. Now, this session actually does both. That's why I said it's well balanced. But it is the others that I'm going to talk about are a little more targeted than this one. The second type is called the karmic connection session, also known as the karmic counterpart. This is where we examine the past life that is most directly responsible for whatever is for this current lifetime. Or, if I may be more precise, whatever is going on currently in a person's life. We then explore the specific connections between the two. These connections may include relationships, relatives, spouses, significant others, friends, co-workers, which can change from lifetime to lifetime. I mean, well, as I've seen in the thousands that I've done, so a person can come back as your husband, as your wife, as your aunt, cousin, sister-in-law, God forbid, mother-in-law. You get some information that is potentially verifiable in terms of historical accuracy, but not as much as in the informational session. That's not the purpose of this session. The purpose of this is find out which life is most karmically connected to this one and why. What were you sent here to learn this time? That had its genesis in a particular life before. Now, the life that is maybe most connected may not be one that you lived back 80, 90 years ago. Because theoretically, at least what the researchers have found out, in terms of Earth years, there's about 60 to 80 years between incarnations, is what they think. So if you do the math, that means if you're around now and if you were born sometime in the mid 1900s, you would have had your past life, most chronologically speaking, in the 1800s. Well, in something like this, that may not be the one that is most karmically related for a specific reason. You might find yourself going back several hundred years, 1500s, 1400s, 1300s. Or you might go back, to 1880, whatever it is. Third type is the between lives session. Now, for some people, a between lives regression can be the most profound, life-changing, healing, and transformative experience of them all. A simple definition of between lives regression, it's also known, by the way, as life between lives regression or soul regression, it's a trip that is taken to the time between the person's death and the lifetime directly preceding this one and their birth into their current lifetime. It actually begins with a trip to the lifetime lived directly prior to whatever lifetime you're in now. Then it segues into the between life state. So it's kind of like getting two trips in one. While in the between life state, you get to do things like meet your spirit guide or guides, your soul group, the people that you've traveled with from lifetime to lifetime. You experience planning your particular life, sitting down at the big table in the sky and writing the script of this particular life, your current life. You get to meet what's called the term that is used is the Council of Elders, also referred to as the Ascended Masters, the learned, the wise ones, the learned ones. These are thought to be entities that think of the afterlife as being a corporation, right? You got the head of the corporation. What's the head of the corporation? You want to call it God, the Great Kahuna, the Grand Poobah, whatever you want to call it. A unified consciousness. Then below that, it's just like a corporation. You got these entities who are involved in certain things. And somewhere down there, you've got the ascended masters, the council of elders. And their job, well, they don't reincarnate anymore. Okay, they've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Their job, their function is to work in concert with the spirit guides to help whoever the spirit guide is helping. And when we do those kind of sessions, we allow you to ask them 3 questions, the ascended masters. Most of the questions people ask is, why am I here? You know, what's it all about, Alfie? What can I best do what's my purpose in life? What can I best do to fulfill that purpose? Those are some of the questions that are typically asked. The 4th type of past life regression is past life therapy. Simply put, past life therapy is targeted past life regression used for emotional, spiritual, sometimes physical healing. And targeted is the operative word here. For many people, past life therapy is the type of session that produces the most, shall I call it, profound, definable changes in them. To a greater or a lesser degree, the other types of sessions give us information, insight, understanding. But past life therapy also gives us information and insight and understanding. But it takes the process one step further and actively produces a dynamic and often dramatic and specific change in an individual's behavior. And for several decades now, an increasing number of therapists have found that a host of human ills can be resolved through past life regression. Fears, phobias, chronic pain, alcoholism, relationship problems, sexual dysfunction, self-esteem, self-confidence. What's really exciting, though, is that in many cases, depending upon the presenting problem too, the simple unearthing of the memories responsible for those disorders alleviates them to such an extent that the issue or problem is permanently resolved. One case that really stands out in my mind, and coincidentally, it happens to be at the time that when I was an instructor at the same center that Mary was taking classes at. Fellow came to me to see me for memory and concentration. He was a civil servant, and he was getting ready to take an exam. And so as he was sitting in the chair across my desk, he was squirming around. And I says, "Is the chair not comfortable? Do you have a problem?" He said, "Nah, it's just back situation." I said, "What is it? Slip disc?" He said, "No, the doctors cannot find any physical reason for this wise man." I said, "Okay." So I worked with him with his memory and concentration. Then he came back again. He says, "Do you happen to believe in past life regression and reincarnation?" I says, "Yes, I do." He broached it with me first. And he says, "Do you think that some of this can be related to a past life? I also got a problem of I'm always looking behind me, like I always feel that someone's sneaking up on me." He bordered on paranoia. Well, almost that bad, but not quite. So I regressed him. He went back to a life that he lived as a fur trapper back in the 1880s. And he was trapping his furs on Indian land. Well, the Indians didn't like that. So they called him in for a meeting. They had a powwow, smoked a peace pipe, whatever it is they did back then. And they made an agreement. They said, "Okay, here we go. You can use this part of our land for your trapping, and you can't use that part." Everybody was agreed on it. Well, among the other Indians there was a young whippersnapper who did not want to have anything to do with a white man. So they made what they thought was an agreement. As this guy was walking towards his horse, this young Indian snuck up behind him and tomahawked him in the back. He died a horrible, painful death. Realizing that, reliving that, his pain was instantly gone because it was a psychogenic pain. There was no physiological reason. Plus, he was no longer looking behind. Why was he looking behind him? Because he always felt that someone was sneaking up behind him. And that vanished too. Now here's a funny thing about that. It's very amazing because researchers have found that you don't even have to believe in reincarnation in order to recall past lives or to benefit from recalling them. Whatever the explanation, in states of past life awareness, even the most die-hard skeptics can have benefits from this. Because with all of us, we have our own apparent past life dramas lurking in our psyches. And the benefits of past life therapy remain unaffected, regardless of whether we view these dramas as simply stories woven by the subconscious and a process called psychotherapeutic process called psychodrama, or actual past life experiences. Now, just as there are, by the way, today's session will be of the informational variety, the first type, because that's the type of regression that best lends itself to a group situation. The others are more targeted and more individualized, and they're best addressed on a personal, one-on-one basis that allows for interaction or conversation between the facilitator and the person. So if any of you are interested in the other types, you can see me after the seminar, and we can talk about it. So I do all of my sessions online, by the way. Just as there are different types of past life regression, there are also many different processes a person can use to access past life memories. But in my professional opinion, after doing this for almost 50 years, the most efficient, the most effective means for accessing those memories is through hypnosis. Most people undergo a past life regression with 3 questions in mind. What if I can't be hypnotized? What if I didn't have a past life? And what if I can't be regressed? In answer to the first question, everybody can be hypnotized. We have a whole set of misconceptions about what hypnosis is and it isn't. And part of the problem is with the word itself. It conjures up images of Count Dracula, right, with piercing dark eyes telling his victim, "You are in my power." Or some kind of mystical state, which you might have seen in a nightclub or at a fair where people are walking around flapping their arms like chickens. Well, it's none of these things. I always remind people. They said, "But gee, the hypnotist is making them do those things." He says, I said, "Not really." Because if you ever been to one of those shows, you ever notice that they always ask for volunteers? The hypnotist doesn't go out into the audience and say, "Get up here," and grab them by the ear. Ask for volunteers. Take me, take me. What's that telling you? They're there to have a good time. They're there to go along with the hypnotist. The hypnotist just makes it easier for them to do what they want to do anyway. And if you ever notice, some of them will do some things, they won't do the others. Sometimes you just sit there like a lump. So it's not quite what it looks like, stage act. Hypnosis is a word that means like sleep. Matter of fact, hypnos is the Greek god of sleep. Now, the way I use it in my sessions, in a workshop like this, is as a form of light sleep. Therefore, if you went to sleep last night, you can be hypnotized. That simple. It's quite easy. It's all a matter of brainwave levels. And the levels that your brain is operating under hypnosis are the exact same as it operates in under any other altered state of consciousness. Meditation, yoga, guided imagery, so on and so forth. The difference, there is a difference though, is what we do with it. Hypnosis is an actively applied altered state of consciousness. In other words, it's a tool. And it's a tool which we use for a specific purpose. In this case, to access and explore past life memories. In other cases, it might be to help a person lose weight or stop smoking, whatever. And that's a very critical difference. But that being said, don't expect to feel hypnotized, quote unquote. If you're expecting to be tranced out in a zombie state today, you're going to be very disappointed. That doesn't exist. That's Hollywood. That's not real life. Basically, hypnosis is relaxation. For our purpose, it's relaxation. You're just very pleasantly relaxed. Hypnosis allows us to bypass the conscious part of the mind and communicate directly with the subconscious, which is where past life memories reside, or at least where we're given access to them. In answer to the second question, what if I didn't have a past life? You know, there's a theory that says that souls were created at the time of the Big Bang, which is about 14 billion years ago. It's probably safe to say that in that time, everybody has had a past life, some more than others. While theoretically possible, I've personally never had a client who didn't have a past life. And to the third question, what if I can't be regressed? Over the years, I've developed certain techniques, tricks of the trade, if you will, which ensure that virtually every one of my clients will experience, to one degree or another, phenomena suggestive of a past life. Your problem will most likely be that you can't be hypnotized, or if you had a past life, not that, or if you can't be regressed, but you will find yourself struggling with one simple question. Did I make it all up? Impressions are easy to get. What's difficult is to decide whether they're fantasy, coming from your own memories of books, movies, or whether they reflect an actual past life reality. You'll find yourself struggling with that question for some time to come. But there are definitely some things that I can do to help you answer those questions. So more about that later on. Rest assured, though, you're going to experience some very interesting places in your own mind. If I can use an analogy, what you and I will be doing is exploring your own dream state with me as the questioner. Past life recall is apparently very similar to the state you're in when you're dreaming, only you're not really dreaming. Same kind of mental functions occur in the hypnotic state as occur in the dream state, with one important exception. Physiologically, the part of the brain responsible for putting us to sleep, we call it the reticular activating system, or RAS, doesn't completely shut down under hypnosis and make us unconscious, like it does during the actual sleep state. And that's why some definitions of hypnosis call it a state resembling sleep, but physiologically distinct from it. So in the kind of hypnosis session that I'm going to be using today, you'll be exceptionally relaxed, totally aware of what's going on around you, unlike the actual sleep state. You're also going to hear me use the word sleep a lot. I'll be saying things like you're going deep asleep. And I do that to take advantage of the emotional connotations of that word. Because for most people, it means rested, relaxed, lethargic, and that's exactly what you'll be feeling. But again, you won't be asleep in the literal sense of the word. Now the question is, who is the you that dreams? I want you to think about that for a moment. How many of you can remember at least one dream from some time in your life? Show of hands. Most of you can, yeah. Now I want you to think about how you dream. When you're in that dream, both time and space change, right? You can be in your home in one moment and in your dream, and then in the next instant, you're someplace else. You've probably noticed that sometimes you experience as yourself in the dream. You're looking around at other dream figures. Other times, you can see your dreaming self in your dream as though you're observing yourself. You're on the outside looking in, so to speak. Some of you may remember those particular dreams. You may experience the same phenomena in this past life recall. Everyone perceives differently in a past life regression. Past life recall is not necessarily a visual state. Now that is a mistaken assumption that most people make. Some people, probably most, will see images. Some will get vivid images. Others will get hazy or vague images. A few won't see at all. They'll feel the images. They'll have a knowing. Or they'll hear voices in their head, not in the schizophrenic sense, but they'll kind of hear these voices. Whatever you get, accept it. Don't fight it. And above all, trust it. I'm going to begin by having you close your eyes, and then I tell you to relax, and you're going to be listening in full awareness of everything that I am saying. Then I'm going to do something called a progressive relaxation. I'm going to relax your body from the top of your scalp, very tips of your toes. Then I'm going to deepen the state. Then I'm going to ask you to flash on pleasant memories and experiences in this life that you're not likely to immediately consciously recall if I put you on the spot. It might be something you haven't thought about in a long, long time. I do that for a couple of reasons. First, I want to give you the experience of that instant memory flash that you can get under hypnosis. Second, I want you to realize the incredible capacity of that marvelous computer we call the subconscious mind to recall things that might have been lost to you for many, many years. And in that way, you will recognize and realize that you do have the ability to remember much more than past experiences from your current life. You can think of it as a conditioning process. You know, just as an athlete has to get into condition before a race or before a meet, well, it really helps for me to get you conditioned to this entire process before we jump right into a past life. In this session, I'm going to have you experience brief images of 6 different historical time periods. I'll then direct your subconscious mind to select one of those periods which it is particularly drawn to, and then I'll have you experience a past life within that particular time period. At the end of the session, I'm going to give you a very special post-hypnotic suggestion. I'll tell you that you will remember everything you have received and experienced during the session. You will continue to gain more and more information about this past life as time passes. Because if you can't remember it, what good is it all? Now, by the way, each of you should have past life trip records. This will help you remember. So after the session, I'm going to give you about 10 minutes or so. A lot of those questions on there are keyed to questions that I will be asking you during the session. So that way you'll be able to take that home. If you want to do some research, you can go on the web, you can Google it. You know, we weren't able to do that when I first started doing this over 40 years ago. You had to sit in the library for a long amount. Now you can get answers like in 10 minutes from Google. And I do have some clients doing that. They'll get back to me like sometimes in a half hour of a session. Say, hey, you know, my God, I can't believe this. And I had one lady a couple of months ago. She lived a life as a fellow in England, who was a businessman, took a business trip to, I think it was Hamburg, Germany, I believe it was. And she, as a he, got caught there doing Kristallnacht and ended up in a concentration camp. Not a pleasant experience. But what I'm saying is that we got a lot more detail. Is about, a lot of times I do my sessions on Facebook Messenger because it's easier to use than Zoom. You know, you don't have to send out invitations, things like that. And I start getting messages from her. So I can't believe this. I was Googling this, and yeah, there was this person with this particular name. This did happen at that particular time. And I was blown away when she started with that. And she was good at that particular type of research. Now, as I told you, I'll give you suggestions that you will continue to remember. And you'll find that during the day, sometimes even in your dreams, little bits, flashes, and memories of what you experienced during the regression will just pop back into your mind. I do this because we all have a tendency to consciously forget some of the many details we experience. Yet once they're accessed from a previous or even a current life, they're always subconsciously stored in the mind. They will often pop into our conscious awareness when we least expect it. But it never hurts to have a little assistance with this natural process. Always remember, what you come up with in this session is meaningful to you. It's in your head. There's always a reason why we experience anything that we do. And I want to give you the opportunity to incorporate this into your understanding of yourself. Right after the session, I'm going to have you start filling out that trip record. This will have sections, as I said, key to what you'll be experiencing during the regression. This will allow you to write down your experiences while they're fresh in your mind. So basically, what I'm going to be doing is taking you on a directed dream. I'm going to take you back through time, give you 6 different time periods in the past. I'm going to get you to get some images or impressions of those time periods. Technically, this is really a process of free association. You might have heard about Jung's or Freud's techniques as a way of getting to the subconscious. I ask you to get an image, and the process is very rapid. Might go something like this. I might say 1860, and you're going to see Scarlett O'Hara's mansion. You're going to see terror. And you'll say to yourself, that's ridiculous. I wasn't Scarlett O'Hara, because that never really happened. And you'll go on, then you'll see an image of maybe Abe Lincoln with a top hat. In a top hat, you'll think to yourself, I wasn't Abe Lincoln. And then pretty soon a horse and a buggy might flash into your mind. And maybe something as inconspicuous as a butter churn with a corner chipped out of it. That is what I'm saying here. You tend to go from your general knowledge of a period and your association to a period to a more specific bit of imagery that is more apropos to what you're undergoing. Then I give you these instructions. Your subconscious mind will choose a time period that will not be upsetting to you. And this is a very interesting instruction because I find it works very well. Some people will start off into one time period and then find themselves being jerked out of it into another place. And the one they end up in might not be all that pleasant. Now, you might have read or heard about people kind of freaking out when they go to a past life that they're being murdered by somebody who turns out to be their husband or their wife in this life, you know, that type of thing. For some reason or other, when you just take people back and just say, go back to before you were born, and don't give them specific instructions, they sometimes get drawn to these rather tragic and exciting past lives. Not all the time. That's rare, but it does happen. And I don't want it to happen, so I'm a little bit more specific and directive when I do something like this. Because I want you to experience this phenomena without having to go through any emotional turmoil. I don't want you to suffer. I want this to be fun. I find this type of suggestion works very well, that your subconscious will direct you and will keep you from having disturbing experiences. I'll tell you that you'll choose one time period, you'll find yourself there, and then I take you experiencing certain details of that life. Some significant, some insignificant, but all potentially verifiable. I think you'll find this useful too, because you see, the problem is not getting hypnotized. The problem is believing what you come up with. And then you'll fill out the trip record and you'll have your answers. Now, I ask you to write down all these details so you'll have something to research. That is, you'll be able to take it home with you and Google it or however you like to do it on which you've written those details. So we're going to look at things that are most readily and easily researchable. This trip is designed to give you some rational basis for possibly deciding whether or not what you experienced was just another dream or fantasy or represented a real past life. It's your own research trip. You get the details, you'll be able to research it. But we'll also look at some of the associations between that life and your current one. Then I take you to your death in that lifetime. But I tell your subconscious mind that you will feel no pain, no fear, and if for any reason the experience becomes upsetting to you, you can simply choose not to experience it. So once again, I'm going to put your subconscious mind in charge of the situation, and under hypnotic instruction, if you begin to feel any discomfort at the death experience, you'll just simply be removed from it. After the session, you'll be writing down the information under post-hypnotic suggestion. As a matter of fact, I give you several post-hypnotic suggestions. The one I always use is that you remember vividly all that you experienced, because that's the most difficult, to be able to retrieve this information when you've been in the hypnotic state. Then I also tell you you'll be able to write down easily and without difficulty the answers to the questions that I'll be answering you. Now, this is sort of cheating, but I find that most people, when they fill out their forms, we're all different. Some people are very slow, meticulous, and others very fast. I find that if I tell you it'll all come and flow easily, I get the reports done roughly at the same time. Everybody sitting there writing away. So you will have some post-hypnotic help in writing your forms. As I said, at the end of the session, I give you suggestions that you will continue to remember as the coming hours, days, weeks, and months. Now, I want to give you a chance to ask any questions before we get started on this, about how we're doing this.
Can this be a continuation of a session that happened here last year?
I don't know what happened here last year.
In other words, the information that came out of that for me, would this be able to fill that in a little bit more?
Yeah. Since I don't know what that was in your own mind, yes. You may very well find yourself in a situation that is the second part of the story, so to speak. Good question, yeah. Anybody else? Okay. So to recapitulate, in this session, I'm going to give you 6 different time periods in the past. I'm going to have you get some images or impressions of those time periods. I'll tell you, you will then choose one time period and you will be there, and I will take you through experiencing the details of it. After the session, have you immediately write down the details so you'll have something to research. So, in a very real sense, this past life regression is designed to give you some rational basis for possibly deciding whether or not what you get today was just another dream, or fantasy, trip, or represented a real past life. Now, I want your ego to go along on this trip. If there's no involvement of your conscious self in the process, you're not going to be able to remember your experiences, and you won't be able to fill out the trip record. So keep your ego along, let it chatter away to you, but at the same time, try to get images, feelings, thoughts, and impressions to come up from your subconscious mind into your conscious mind in response to my questions and suggestions. The secret to receiving value from this process is trust. Trust your thoughts, trust your feelings, trust your imagination. And, apply that word imagination, don't be afraid to use your imagination to prime the pump a bit. Now, I grew up on a farm on Long Island. It was a duck farm. And many of you might have heard about, and we had a lot of water pumps on the farm. Many of you might have heard about how people used to have to pour a dipper of water down the top of an old pump before they could get it to bring up fresh water. That's called priming the pump. Your imagination can be that initial dipper of priming water. If, for example, I ask you to conjure up a marketplace in your mind, you may not instantly perceive a independent, clear image of a marketplace in your memory. But you do know what a marketplace might look like, so go ahead and imagine one that from your memory. Might be one that you've actually visited. Might be one that you've read about in a book or saw in a movie. Whatever it is, it'll work for you. Just make it up if you have to, because once you have your imagined marketplace, using that as an example now, or whatever, fixed in your mind, you'll be amazed how quickly some other marketplace will come spring into life and take charge of your thoughts. The important thing is that you not block my suggestions. Don't waste even a second worrying about what type of image you should see. Whatever I suggest on these images, don't hesitate to, at first, use your own imagination if the image doesn't suddenly appear at once. In each instance, the important thing is that you respond to my suggestions. Now, if after a few minutes, your imagined or made-up image doesn't generalize to something that is more appropriate for the particular time period you find yourself in, then don't worry about it. Could quite possibly not be relevant to what that particular lifetime. Now, after the session, you can say, I think I made it all up. But I don't want to hear anybody say, I didn't get anything, because that shows me that you can't trust or listen to instructions. If something pops into that space between your two ears, whether independently or you put it there, it's there for a reason. So trust. Critically important that you not attempt to analyze or rationalize what you experience here today. Even if it seems silly or unusual, you can analyze it all you want later on. You remember that old expression, go with the flow? That's exactly what I want you to do. Important thing is that you not block my suggestions. Don't waste even a second worrying about what kind of image you should see. Said it before, I'll say it again. Don't analyze it, don't rationalize it, simply trust it. With most people, when they open their eyes, immediately the ego comes back in and says, all right, what book, what movie did I get that from? And you immediately try to label and classify your experience in terms of what your ego knows to be reality. But at any rate, you will be wondering, where did I get that from? That's perfectly normal. With that said, let's begin. Sit back, relax, make yourself comfortable. Let your hands rest easily in your lap or on the arms of the chair, and adjust yourself to the most comfortable position you like. That's fine. Just close your eyes and let them stay closed. Good. Now, I'd like you to notice just how much more comfortable you can feel by taking one very big, deep, satisfying, lung-filling breath. Go ahead. A deep, satisfying breath. That's fine. You may already notice how good that makes you feel. Now, I'd like you to think of the muscles of the scalp and forehead growing very comfortable, relaxed. You find that as you think of these muscles relaxing, they will do so. As the muscles of the forehead relax, you may notice a slight increase in tension around the eyebrows. Concentrate on the eyebrows and all around the eyes. And this tension just fades away. Feel the tiny muscles of the eyelids relax. And let the relaxation move deep inside the eyes, deep in back of the eyes. And as the muscles of the eyelids relax, they may have a tendency to flutter, or they may close even more tightly. Doesn't really matter, as long as they're relaxed. Let all the facial muscles relax. Over the cheekbones, the cheeks, the jaw, the chin, the lips, and the mouth. Relax. Let the relaxation move deep inside the mouth. And as the muscles of the mouth relax, you find that your mouth automatically becomes not too moist, not too dry, but just moist enough to keep you perfectly comfortable. Feel the relaxation spread deep in back of the throat, deep in back of the head and neck, deep into the neck and shoulders. And as the muscles of the neck and shoulders relax, it feels perhaps like 1,000 little fingers are gently massaging the muscles of the neck, the shoulders. Now let the arms relax. Relax the upper arms. Concentrate on the forearms. Feel them relax. All the muscles between the elbows and the wrists. Relax. Feel the relaxation spreading across the tops of the hands and deep into the hands. Deep through the hands to the palms. Now the fingers relax all the way to the fingertips. And as the fingers relax, you may or may not experience a slight tingling in the fingers. If you do, you find it to be a very pleasant sensation, a very pleasant tingling in the fingers. Bring your attention back again to the relaxed muscles of the neck and shoulders. Let the relaxation flow into the chest, the lungs. Your breathing is easy and gentle. You find yourself relaxing more and more with each gentle and easy breath. You're noticing now that the sounds that were distracting you become less so. You refuse to allow any outside sounds to interfere with your relaxation. Only the sound of my voice is important now. And all the sounds you hear now become part of your experience of comfort and relaxation as you continue to drift on down so comfortably, so pleasantly, so peacefully relaxed. Let the relaxation spread into the broad of the back. Feel it move gently down the back to the small of the back. Feel the relaxation spreading around and deep into the sides. Let the muscles of the abdomen relax. All the muscles of the abdomen and hips. Relax. Now let the legs relax. Feel the relaxation spreading into the thighs and the knees. Let the calves of the legs relax all the way to the ankles. Now let the feet relax, the heels of the feet, the undersides of the feet, deep through the feet to the tops, and finally even the toes relax. Feels so good to relax. Let go of all tension, all care. Some people, as they relax in this way, feel their entire body becoming heavy, tired. Their legs, arms, shoulders, neck, and head become very heavy, very, very tired. Their head may feel so heavy, so tired, that it gently drops forward. And the chin rests comfortably on the chest. So heavy, so tired, so relaxed. Other people experience a feeling of lightness, almost as if their body and mind were drifting through space, or floating on a cloud. Drifting, floating, floating and drifting. Doesn't really matter what you feel, as long as you're relaxed. As I continue to talk now, nothing more than the sound of my voice tends to lull you toward a very restful, relaxing form of sleep. Completely relaxed all over. You're going down, down, deeper and deeper to sleep. You feel all muscular tension, all mental tension disappearing now. Entering a beautiful, restful, peaceful, relaxing and serene state known as hypnosis, where there's nothing to do, no one to bother you, nothing to disturb you, no one you have to please, no one you have to satisfy. There's only physical and emotional peace, comfort and tranquility. More deeply relaxed than you've ever known yourself to be. As you go deeper, deeper, and deeper to sleep. So calm, so comfortable, so relaxed, with no need, no desire to awaken until I give you the signal to awaken. Because you're enjoying this beautiful peace, comfort, and tranquility so very, very much. So deep asleep now, that only sleep seems to matter. With each gentle and easy breath you take, with every moment that passes, with each and every word I speak to you, you just relax even more. Go even deeper to sleep. Even deeper to sleep. But no matter how deep you go into the hypnotic state, you will never be out of touch with the sound of my voice. And although you may be aware of all sounds inside or outside this room, you find that these sounds do not bother or disturb you in any way whatsoever. They just help you to relax even more. Go even deeper to sleep. Even deeper. My voice, and my voice alone, is always louder and clearer than all other sounds inside or outside this room. You focus intently on my questions and instructions. If you drop too deep, if you drop too deeply asleep, you will hear my voice saying now. You will respond to the word now, and it will sound loud and clear but pleasant in your ear, and you'll come up just enough to focus once again intently on my questions. Pictures, images, sounds, impressions, feelings easily float into your mind in response to my questions. Other sounds in the room around you just focus you more intently on my questions, instructions, suggestions. And if you should ever feel physically uncomfortable in your position, you can always feel free to change your position and make yourself more comfortable, realizing that as you do, that just helps you to relax even more and go even deeper to sleep. Even deeper to sleep. And as you continue to drift way down, I'd like you to picture and imagine yourself standing at the top of a beautiful flight of stairs. These stairs are covered with your very favorite type and color of carpet. There are 10 steps on this stairway. And as I count downward from 10 to 0, I'd like you to picture and imagine yourself slowly stepping down the stairway. With each and every numeral I count downward, with each and every step you take downward, you find yourself going even 10 times deeper asleep. 10 times deeper asleep. When I reach the count of 0, and you reach the bottom of the stairs, you'll be 1,000 times deeper than you are now. 1,000 times deeper. Counting now, 10. As you step down, going deeper and deeper to sleep. 9, deeper yet, much, much, much deeper to sleep. 8, so calm, so comfortable, so relaxed as you drift on down. 7, continuing to drift way down. 6, deeper yet. There's no one to bother you, nothing to disturb you. No one you need to please, no one you have to satisfy. 5, halfway there now as you continue to drift on down. 4, more calm, relaxed, and peaceful than you've ever known yourself to be. 3, deeper yet, much, much, much deeper to sleep. 2, so calm, so comfortable, so relaxed as you drift on down. 1, almost to the bottom now. You feel peaceful, calm, relaxed, and tranquil. And with the next numeral, you go even 1,000 times deeper. And now, 0. With each gentle and easy breath you take, with every moment that passes, with each and every word I speak to you, you just relax even more. Go even deeper to sleep. Even deeper to sleep. And as you continue to drift on down, so calm, comfortable, so relaxed, I want you to go back into your memory to a time when you were standing at the front door of your house or apartment where you now live. You're standing outside in front of the door of your own house or apartment. Your eyes are seeing that door, your brain is registered. You're there now. Now, I want you to make a leap of the imagination. I want you to leave the front door of your house or apartment by lifting gently off the ground. And I want you to fly. That's right, fly. Just as you might have done your dreams years ago. You're flying now free and light. You're flying to the ocean, to your favorite ocean beach. You're now hovering over the beach, and you can see the lacy patterns that the foam makes after the waves break on the sand. You make a gentle landing on the beach, and ahead of you are endless miles of sparkling white sand that seems to go on to infinity. Not a single soul is in sight. It's a beautiful, clear, sunny day at the beach. You can feel the gentle caress of a soothing ocean breeze. Smell the aroma of the sea and taste the salt air on your lips. You can hear the soft cries of seagulls circling lazily overhead. And you listen now to the sounds of the sea, the rhythmic sounds of the waves as they lap against the shore. You're listening to the same restful lullaby that the ocean has been singing to men and women for thousands and thousands of years. Now you once again lift off gently and you're soaring up over the ocean, higher and higher. You're weightless, just like an astronaut, free of gravity. So go ahead, dip and soar. Turn somersaults if you want. Catch the corner of a breeze and glide on it like a seagull. You glance to your right, and you happen to notice a fluffy white cloud. It's a small cloud, but it's exquisitely formed. It's a beautiful cloud with magnificent peaks and valleys. You feel at peace, looking at that cloud's fluffiness. Its rich, thick fullness, soft. It's white, seems to be glowing as it catches the rays of sunlight and shines with beautiful, prismatic colors. As you watch the cloud, you feel a great longing, a desire to ride on it, knowing that because you're weightless, this special cloud would hold you safely in space. You know that if you mounted that cloud, you'd then be able to move into the heavens themselves. You can enjoy the beauty of the twinkling stars. Fly over to that cloud, settle down into its soft, fluffy center. It's so comfortable on the cloud, so peaceful. You lie back as if you're relaxing in an incredibly soft and comfortable easy chair. And as you float there on that cloud, so calm, comfortable, so relaxed, you know that there's no one to bother you, nothing to disturb you, no one you need to please, no one you have to satisfy. A ray of light shines from the heavens and touches your strong and fluffy cloud, causes the cloud to glow softly. The radiance is different from any other light you've ever seen. You can feel it as well as see it. Feels strangely wonderful. Makes you become very happy, very content within yourself. The cloud begins to float upward, higher and higher, higher still. And as you drift and float and drift, you glance down toward the earth. You can see the trees, the countryside, the cities, the towns, growing smaller and smaller until they look like tiny toys on a green blanket. You're rising higher and higher, far above the ground. Smell the fresh winds. As the air becomes fresher and cleaner, the higher you go. You breathe deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper. You settle back comfortably on your cloud to rest and enjoy those feelings of peace, comfort, tranquility. Then as you float higher and higher, a strange and a wondrous thing begins to happen. You're going backwards in time. The years are falling away like the pages of a calendar. I want you to go back to a pleasant experience that happened between the ages of 20 and the age you are now. Go back to a pleasant and happy experience or an event that happened between the ages of 20 and the age you are now. Might be something you haven't thought about in a long time. But whatever it is, it's a pleasant and a happy memory, which you can easily access and remember. With each and every breath you take, with every moment that passes, this memory becomes sharper, more focused, much more detailed. You're there now. Notice how you look. Be aware of what you're wearing. Notice the hairstyle that you wore back then. Be aware there are other people around you. Take a few moments now to enjoy this memory until you hear my voice again. Recognizing and realizing that you can remember much more than this present life memory. Also recognizing and realizing that whatever it is you're remembering for a reason. Of all the thousands and thousands of memories in your mind, you might want to ask yourself, why this memory? What's its significance? And the answer to that question may come immediately, or it may come in time when you least expect it to. Just like all the memories you'll be experiencing today, from this life and a past life. Continuing to move backwards in time. You're in your teen years now. You're 16 years old. See and feel yourself at 16 years of age. Notice what you look like at this time of your life. Be aware of what you're doing. And if there's anybody else there with you. Growing younger still, you're 15, 14, 13, 12 years old. See yourself at 12 years of age. Continuing to move backwards in time, you're now 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 years old. See yourself and feel yourself at 5 years of age. Growing younger still, you're now 4, 3, 2, 1, and still you move backward in time. Back to the time of your birth into your mother's womb, floating so peacefully in the amniotic fluid, safe and secure just as you are now on your cloud. And still, you go further back through time and space. And although you're still uniquely you, you cease to inhabit the physical confines of your body. It's like you are a ball of radiant energy. Your cloud takes you into the vast blackness of space. Suddenly you see an opening ahead of you. It's coming closer and closer. You easily slip through the opening and you now see that it's not just an opening, it's a tunnel. A tunnel through space and time. And it's filled with myriad designs and multicolored lights flashing all around you. And there's a bright white light at the end of the tunnel. See the light far ahead at the end of the tunnel. And as you speed to the end of the tunnel, you're becoming aware of a sensation of rising energy all around you. You're aware of a high-pitched ringing sound that's growing in intensity. The multicolored lights dance around you, and you experience an incredible feeling of well-being, ecstasy, as you realize that you're moving even further back through time, back through space, to a life you lived before this one, to another existence, a place and a time where your own unique entity inhabited another physical body, in another place, another time. Coming swiftly to the end of the tunnel, you find yourself bathed in a beautiful, warm, soothing, and protective white light. And now you easily slip through it into a strange and a glorious place, a place that exists beyond time. And now your cloud begins to slowly descend. And as it does, I want you to be aware that in that great expanse of time and place that lie before you, your soul has led many lifetimes, and you can sense them, feel them, maybe even see some of them as if it were a kaleidoscope in front of you, moving swiftly round and round. And if you've dropped too deep, if you're deep into the hypnotic state, my voice reaches you first as if from a long way off, but you're homing in once again on my questions, my instructions, my words, and my words come through vividly to you, no matter how deeply asleep you may be. You're going to find that your subconscious mind will immediately and automatically remove you from the recall of any disturbing material you may not be prepared to deal with at this time. And you see below you a panorama of the earth from the beginning to the present date. You see all the lands, all the continents, all the peoples. And now your cloud begins to slowly descend. And as it does, I want you to be aware that in that great expanse of time and place that lie before you, your soul has led many lifetimes, but there is a particular lifetime that might have particular relevance to you now, or might be one that you're just curious about. I'm now going to call out certain time periods. And as I call out a particular period, I'd like you to let an image come into your mind. I'd then like you to choose a time period to explore further. You will allow your subconscious mind to choose a lifetime that will not be upsetting to you. Furthermore, this will be a lifetime in which you lived at least 30 years. I repeat, you will allow your subconscious mind to choose a lifetime that will not be upsetting to you. Furthermore, this will be a lifetime in which you lived at least 30 years. Your subconscious mind is further free to choose a time 60 to 80 years before or after the general time periods I'm about to call out to you. You're drifting back in time, and it's 1900. The time period anywhere around 1900. Let an image or impression that comes into your mind of a lifetime around 1900. Remember that image or impression from around 1900. Now you're drifting further back in time. You're drifting back, and it's 1800. The time period anywhere around 1800. Let an image or impression come into your mind of a lifetime around 1800. Remember that image or impression from around 1800. Now you're drifting further back in time. You're drifting back, and it's 1700, the time period anywhere around 1700. Let an image or impression come into your mind of a lifetime around 1700. Remember that image or impression from around 1700. Drifting further back in time, you're drifting back, and it's 1500, the time period anywhere around 1500. Let an image or impression come into your mind of a lifetime around 1500. Remember that image or impression from around 1500. Drifting way back in time, you're drifting back, and it's 25 AD. The time period anywhere around 25 AD. Let an image or impression come into your mind of a lifetime around 25 AD. Remember that image or impression from around 25 AD. Now you're again drifting back in time. You're drifting back, and it's 500 BC. The time period anywhere around 500 BC. Let an image or an impression come into your mind of a lifetime around 500 BC. Remember that image or impression from around 500 BC. Now I'm going to review for you the 6 time periods, and when I complete the review, your subconscious mind is going to choose just one of these time periods to explore further. It will choose the time period where the image came quickest and was the most vivid, but you will not go to a time period where you will have any upsetting experiences. I repeat, you will not go to a time period where you will have any upsetting experiences. Remember your images now as I review. 1900, 1800, 1700, 1500, 25 AD, 500 BC. Just let the images come into your mind and allow your subconscious mind to choose a particular time period which will not be upsetting to you. Your cloud continues to descend, and as it does, and as you prepare to experience a former life, you're going to find that your subconscious mind will immediately remove you from the recall of any disturbing material you may encounter or for which you may not be prepared to deal with. And if you so choose, you can always return to the peace, comfort, safety, and security of your cloud for the duration of the session. Your cloud now comes to a gentle landing, and you step off of it. And as you step off that cloud, you're actually beginning to feel eager, even excited, because you realize there's something for you to learn here. So to help you learn, in a minute, I'm going to ask you some questions which you will easily be able to answer within your own mind without having to bother with needless verbalizing. You find me someone very comfortable to be around and whom you feel quite at ease with. And as you step off that cloud, I want you to look down at your feet. What are you wearing on them? Now look around you. Notice the terrain and landscape. Are there trees or forests or meadows or rocks? Is it desert? Is it jungle? Is it flat or hilly? Are you in a town, a city, on a farm, in a village, or someplace else? Can you see any buildings? And if you do see buildings, be aware of the architecture. Does it indicate a certain period? Now notice the climate. Is it hot, cold, cool, warm? Is it dry or humid? And what season of the year is it? What are you wearing? Feel the texture of the material. Now I want you to step outside of that body for just a few moments. Look back carefully at it. Examine it. Notice the physical appearance and characteristics. Are you male or female? See the color of your skin. Is your hair straight or curly? See the color of your hair. Do you notice any distinguishing features about yourself? About how old are you? Now I'd like you to flash on the modern geographical name of the area in which you live. Flash on the modern geographical name of the area in which you live. If you have any difficulty doing this, then picture a modern geographical map. You'll see the name and instantly recognize it. As we continue to examine that past life, from time to time, we're going to look at certain important life events, as we call them. Now, these can be weddings, funerals, graduations, award ceremonies, an accident, serving in the military, fighting in a war. Actually, any event or happening that has a particular importance and significance to that life. Now, you have the ability to move backward or forward in time in that life. So whatever age you happen to be when you stepped off that cloud, I want you to move to your childhood in that life. This may mean moving forward or backward in that life. But at the count of 3, I want you to go to your childhood. Counting now. 1, 2, and 3. What kind of games do you play? What activities do you participate in? Who are your friends and playmates? Do you have a favorite friend or playmate? If so, what's their name? I want you to go to an important life event from that time in your life. At the count of 3, you'll be at an important life event from this time in your life. Counting now. 1, 2, and 3. You're there now. See, feel, and experience that event clearly. Be aware if the activities you participated in or the life event you're experiencing from this time in your life has any significance, association, or connection to this, your current life. Now, I'd like you to flash on your first name in that life. If for some reason you're having difficulty flashing on a name, you notice that someone's turning to you. They're saying something to you. They use your name. What do they call you? What's your last name? Now time is passing. And I'd like you to go to an evening meal time. Are you inside or outside? Are there other people there with you? If so, who are they? What's their relationship to you? Look down at what you're eating from. Is it a plate or a bowl? Now look closely at what you're eating. Taste the food. Is it spicy or bland? Are you using any utensils to eat the food? If so, look carefully at these. Look around you. Notice other household objects, if any. Time is passing now. You're growing older in that life. I want you to go to your teen years in that life. At the count of 3, you'll be in your teen years. Counting now. 1, 2, and 3. Do you attend a school of some sort? What subjects or skills are you learning? Who's teaching you? What are your feelings toward your teacher? And what are you learning? At the count of 3, you'll be at an important life event from this time in your life. Counting now. 1, 2, 3. You're there now. See, feel, and experience it clearly. Be aware of the activities you participated in at school or the life event you just experienced from this time in your life. And be aware of any significance, association, or connection to this life. To that life has come into your current life. Time is passing now. Time is passing. You're growing older. You're now a mature adult. Notice where you are. Where do you live? Do you live in a city, town, country? What's the name of the place where you live? What's the name of the street or road you live on? Can you recall the address? So does anyone else live there with you? Are you married? Do you have any children? If so, what are their names? What do you do for a living? What's your station in life? Are you wealthy, poor, middle class? Time is passing now. Time passes. You're now going to a store or a market to do some shopping. Are you inside? Or is this an open, outdoor marketplace? If there are buildings, then notice the architecture of the buildings. Notice what they're made of. Notice the other people around you. Hear their voices. Are there any smells associated with the store or marketplace? How about sounds? Are you trading for your goods, or are you buying them? If you're buying them, see and feel the money that you're exchanging for them. I'd like you to flash upon the name of the place you're in. Now, if for some reason you're finding it difficult to summon the name of the place, I want you to listen to the people around you. Someone mentions the place name. You instantly recognize it. Now I want you to go to an important life event. At the count of 3, you'll be in an important life event from this time in your life. You may be in a work situation, a political situation, at home. You may even be seeing yourself fighting a war. It'll only take you a few moments to fully experience this scene. Counting now. 1, 2, 3. You're there now. See and feel and experience it clearly. Be aware if the activities you participated in or the life event you just experienced from this time in your life has any significance, association, or connection to this, your current life. Time is passing now. Time passes, and you now find yourself at some sort of communal event or a ceremony. Might be a religious ceremony, or a town meeting, or a feast, or a contest, or a party, or a celebration of some sort. What's the nature of this ceremony or event? Where is it taking place? What's its purpose? Its significance? Who is officiating? How are they dressed? Now, are you a participant or an observer? If you're participating, what's your role? Now see a scene from this event or ceremony. Are there any sounds or smells associated with it? See it, experience it clearly. It'll only take you a few moments to fully experience this scene. You're taking a journey now, some sort of a trip. By what method are you traveling? Automobile, boat, train, airplane, horse, buggy, on foot? But where do you leave? What is your destination? What are the names of these places? For what purposes are you making this trip? Are you alone or with others? See a scene from this trip. It'll only take you a few moments to fully experience it. quickly scan the next 10 years of your life. It'll only take you a few moments to do this. Be aware of any outstanding events, historical or otherwise, any personal accomplishments. Be aware of anything that happened during that time in your life, which might have any significance, association, or connection to this, your current life. Time is passing now. Moving on. At the count of 3, and not before the count of 3, without pain, distress, fear, apprehension, or emotion of any kind, you're going to move forward to the very last day of your life. In this past life you're now examining. You will not have died. You will not have crossed out over into the spirit. But on the count of 3, it will indeed be the last day of your life in this past life. Counting now. 1, 2, 3. You'll remember everything that happened, but you'll feel no physical pain or emotional discomfort. You realize that you're physically here and now. This is simply an exercise in remembering. There's no need for you to experience distress on any kind, on any level. You may disassociate yourself from the situation. You might observe it as if watching a movie or television. And should you choose not to experience it, you'll simply return to your cloud. Now, it's a few moments before the time of your death. This is simply an exercise in remembering. There's no reason for you to feel pain, distress, apprehension, or emotion on any level. Where are you? What are you doing? Approximately what age are you? Now death is very near. How do you feel about the prospect of dying now that it's so close? How do you feel about your life? Did you accomplish what you intended to accomplish with that lifetime? Now on the count of 3, not before the count of 3, without pain, distress, fear, apprehension, or anxiety or emotion of any kind, you will pass through the experience of your death and cross over into spirit. You'll have just left your physical body. You'll find yourself in spirit on the other side. It will be just a few moments after you've left your physical body in this past life incarnation you're now examining. Counting now, 1, 2, and 3. You're now in spirit, and it's time to orient to your new surroundings. How'd you die? How old were you when you died? Did you feel or sense or perceive anyone else there with you? Is anything being communicated to you? Thinking about that past life you just experienced, what do you like most about the person you were in that life? What do you like least about the person you were in that life? If you could go back and change anything in that life, what would it be? Hear and understand any message you should take from that life. Now I'd like you to flash on the year that you died in modern terms. Flash on the year that you died in modern terms. Now you're leaving that time and place, floating back up into space, back up to your cloud. As you climb onto your cloud, stretch out, relax. All your body systems return to normal. You have no physical or emotional discomfort as a result of your experiences on this trip. You will bring with you all information and impressions which will be a benefit to you. You leave behind anything which might be harmful or detrimental to you in any way. If it is harmful or detrimental to you in any way, you will simply forget it. It'll no longer be part of your conscious memory. The slate will be wiped clean of any and all harmful and detrimental past life memories. But the happy, the pleasant, the useful ones will remain. You're now floating on your cloud. You're relaxed. All your organ systems returning to normal. Now it's time to return to this place, here and now, this time, this place, this lifetime. When I awaken you, the answers that flashed in your mind to my questions will be vivid in your memory. You will remember everything you have received and experienced during the session, and you will continue to gain more and more information about this place as time passes. During the next 7 days, you will dream about the experiences you had in this session. And during the day, in odd moments of the day, bits and pieces of the experiences that you may have consciously forgotten return to your awareness. Your subconscious will work on absorbing and integrating these experiences into your conscious awareness. At the end of 7 days, you will have a deeper understanding of yourself. You will see how these experiences fit into the attitudes and feelings that you carry with you now. You will be in touch with portions of yourself that have been closed away from your conscious awareness. You'll increase your ability to reach these parts of yourself. Your dreams will become more a part of your conscious awareness as this experience today is processed and integrated by you. And you will use constructively the material that came into your mind in response to my questions. This knowledge will filter down from your subconscious to your conscious mind in the form of thoughts or visual impressions. The answers and impressions that came to you will flood back into your memory. You'll be able to fill out the trip record without difficulty. You will not share your experience with others until you have completed your trip record. Then you can feel free and comfortable in discussing your experience with myself or others in the group. Now in a moment, I'm going to awaken you by counting from 1 up to 5. When I reach the count of 5, your eyes will open. You'll be wide awake, completely out of the hypnotic state, awakening with a marvelous feeling of well-being. Feeling fine, feeling wonderful in every conceivable way. Counting now. 1, you're beginning to awaken. 2, you're completely and totally relaxed. 3, you're physically refreshed, mentally alert. 4, you are exceptionally clear-headed. And 5, eyes open, wide awake, feeling fine and wonderful. Welcome back. Didn't hear any snoring out there, so I guess we did all right. Sometimes I do. All right, you've got your trip records. Let's take 10 minutes now to fill them out. Please don't discuss it with anybody, because we're going to have some questions about that when we're done. Okay, you guys, if you haven't finished it, you can finish that later on, but just a couple of questions here. How long did it seem to you, in minutes, from the time I said close your eyes until I said open your eyes? Just guess.
20 minutes.
20 minutes? Okay, anybody else?
30.
Actually, it's 51 minutes. Yeah, 51 minutes. Isn't that amazing? That's called time distortion, by the way. Were any of you a little bit ahead of me on this trip? You know, like you kind of knew what I was going to ask before I asked it. Yeah, that's that particular phenomenon of answering my questions before I articulate them is present in every group that I've ever worked with. Apparently, telepathic communication is often present in the hypnotic state. How many went to around 1900? Okay. Yeah, the time period, about 1900. How many of you went to the time period 1800? Ooh, a lot around there, okay. Was anyone living in the 1700s? Okay, getting less now. How about the 1500s? Couple there. Did anyone find themselves in or around 25 AD? 1, 2 over there. And the last period was 500 BC. Anybody 500 BC? Okay, we have one back there. That's interesting. We find that most of the people seem to be in the 1900s and the 1800s, a lot in the 1800s. How many of you found yourself bouncing between different lifetimes before settling on the one you eventually explored? Yeah, I figured it would be that one back there, a couple more. Happens in every group. Every group. Kind of like cable TV. Too damn many choices. That's why I limited you to 6 different time periods. If I didn't, you might have been bouncing around like a ping pong ball. Did you feel as though you were making this up from things you have read or seen, like movies, books? Anyone feel that? Yeah. Remember I told you would? Then ask yourself this question. Why those particular images? What could their meaning be? And if these movies, books, and TV programs have a common theme that you're drawn to, fascinated by, feel a strange affinity for, or familiar with, then why? Why those? See, that's your homework. All right, before we close, some comments and observations. If it seems strange to you that you lived before and that you will live again, is it any less strange that you should have lived at all? Your very existence is a miracle. Accept it. Your eternality as a natural process that follows your having come into being. Accept it, learn from it, grow from it. Thinking about reincarnation makes some real sense because it energizes the notion that one's life can really mean something beyond its apparent end. When we discover that we're not just here by some fluke, or some random biological chance, we become more capable of coming to terms with our place in this whole scheme of things. I found that for the overwhelming majority of my clients, after a past life or between lives regression, they come to know that there is order and purpose and that they have a part to play in this grand scheme. It's like a stage play named My Life, which is, of course, an apt analogy, right? In the words of the immortal bard, all the world's a stage, all the men and women are merely players. Each have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. And you get to decide whether this play is more like a Greek tragedy, slapstick comedy, quirky melodrama, or action adventure. You know, as Frank Sinatra put it in his song, That's Life, I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn, and a king. I've been up and down and over and out, and I know one thing. And I think what old Blue Eyes was trying to tell us, although we may not have realized itself, is that the purpose of it all is to experience life in all its infinite diversity. And maybe, just maybe, one lifetime isn't enough to experience it all. If we've all lived many lifetimes, I want you to think about this, or hundreds of lifetimes, it's only illogical to expect that each of us has been, at one time or another, a murderer, a thief, a miser, a prostitute, a traitor, a scamp, a scalawag, just as we've also lived many kinds of lives of kindness, generosity, honesty. According to many who accept reincarnation, the purpose of this panoramic existence is not to fill the individual with guilt, regret, remorse, but to allow the soul to experience, and in the experiencing, to view life from every angle. You know, in my readings, and I gotta say, I have very eclectic tastes. One of the most fascinating individuals I have ever encountered is the late film star Errol Flynn. Now, I know you know who Flynn was. Now, the swashbuckling Flynn's escapades and hedonistic lifestyle did him in at only 50 years of age. His penchant for booze, drugs, wildly indiscriminate sex make today's rock stars look like choir boys. But he did have a rather unique talent for wringing the most out of life. And if we can temper his excesses and reckless abandonment, yet still embrace a philosophy that celebrates life with a passion and enthusiasm he fervently exhibited, we shall have done ourselves a great service indeed. In his autobiography, My Wicked, Wicked Ways, Flynn wrote, I want vitality and life. So let there be gaiety and joking and clowning, hoaxing, capering, romance and sport, and rafting on the Rio Grande, and laughter and the good life till the eyes close in sleep at night. So I leave you with this thought. Live each and every day as if it were your last, because someday you'll be right. Thank you very much. Here's to your health. Thank you for being a receptive audience.